believe it or not, we are halfway through 2025, and you know what that means. If you're a fan of this channel, that means it's time for us to go back and look at the past 6 months of music and see what are the best albums of the year so far. And I know this year has been more defined by drama than music. And actually, now that I think about it, because of that, it's kind of been a slow year, I think. 2025? The only words I can muster are a dreary disappointment, a symphony of squandered talent, and a multitude of mediocrity. This year gets 3 stars. Well, for once, he ain't wrong. Look, when you look at the top releases of 2025, it's all been the same story. It's been miss after miss after miss. But that's if only you look at the headliners, because what we do here at Soul and Stereo is we dig so you don't have to. I have dug deep, I have looked far and wide, and yes, we are talking about the 20 best albums of 2025 so far. I'm gonna put y'all onto some gems. Stay tuned, I got you. What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions right here on the YouTubes. I'm so glad you joined your boy because, as you heard, yes, we're looking back at the year so far, the best albums of 2025. We're looking at the top 20, and we're not going to waste too much time today. But before we get started, I did want to put in this caveat. If you've checked out my previous list over on soulandstereo.com, you've probably seen that I did do 25 of the best albums of the year. But since then, because I love my YouTube family so much, that list has been amended. Yes, a top list should never be stagnant. It should always change. And we have some new additions to the list that dropped after that list was published. So if you've seen that list, cool, thank you for that click. But I'm going to thank you for this one because I'm going to put you on to a few new additions to the top albums of the year so far. So again, what makes the top albums list? I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for quality. I'm looking for albums that push genres and stuff that just bucks the trend. I'm tired of the same old, and we have 20 artists right here that do that very well. But before we get started, let's do some housekeeping. Y'all know what it is. Take a second, homie. Take a second and hit like on this video if you haven't already. And if you also haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I look at the analytics and so many of y'all watch these videos every time I post them, but you're not a subscriber. Why not? Just hit the button. It's easy, it's free, and it helps motivate us to get more videos out to you, me, and our producer D Roth. We thank you for that. And once this video is done, be sure to share it with the hip-hop and R&B fan in your life so we can talk about what music should be on their playlist. Help them out. I'm sure they need it. So without any further ado, let's talk today about the 20 best albums of 2025 so far. Some good stuff to come. Alright, up first is Rayvon, The Good, The Bad, and The Dollar Menu. So, Rayvon has had quite the year, and as if you've heard about what I kind of alluded to earlier, this year has been the year of residual beef, because after last year's decimation of Drake, we've had a lot of like sparse little hip-hop battles here and there, and Rayvon has jumped into the mix, and he's held his own. But beyond that, he released a very strong project here. And I ain't mad at it. Hip-hop has always been fueled by competition, and you can tell that that energy pushes this project forward. This is a bit of a concept album, and I love how he uses the metaphors of whether it's family or food equity or resources, but he ties all this stuff together into that infamous dollar menu to just tell a narrative about his life, and he does it so well. He's a very relatable storyteller. He raps very easily. It's kind of effortless the way he drops his bars, and I think that really drives this project forward. I know a lot of people hear his name, they're only thinking about the back and forth beef and who he's sticking up for who and he's defending. Forget all that. We're gonna, at the end of the day, I'm always gonna judge an artist's credibility by their albums, and Rayvon shows that he's not just a battle rapper. This album shows he's got some meat on that bone. Alright, coming up next in the R&B world is Nayo and Jupiter. Now, she often kind of falls on these lists if you follow Soul and Stereo a lot, because look, we've been rocking with her for a minute and her music never disappoints. Jupiter is yet another one of those albums that seems to fly under the radar, but if you're an R&B fan, you gotta rock with it. She has a beautiful falsetto that's very interesting, it's very unique. Whenever you hear a Nayo song, you know it's her. You don't have to question who it is. And this is one of those ones when she pops on, man, it's some dope stuff. So because, of course, of the Jupiter theme, this is a very kind of spacey journey through the Milky Way, through love and reflection and all the things that she usually touches on. But she does it on such a unique way, giving her R&B something that's a little bit unique from and bringing her away from the pack. It's not what you're going to hear from everybody else. Her tone is different, her delivery is different, but her lyrics are always very heartfelt. So, you love some R&B, you want some love in your life? Talk to my girl, let her take you to Jupiter. Up next is Little Simz and Lotus. Yet another artist who, if she drops an album, you better believe she's going to end up on one of my year-end lists because she always delivers. She's no stranger to introspective songs. It's like you always get, when you get a Little Simz project, she's going to have her heart on her sleeve. You're going to know exactly what she's talking about. But she gets really deep here on Lotus. She gets deep into some of her family issues, some of her insecurities. And it's all very relatable. And the good thing is, she is so talented of a storyteller. Her bars are so sharp and interesting that it never feels heavy. It doesn't feel depressing. It doesn't feel like homework. It feels like you're listening to this expert storyteller just remarking on her life. And as she talks about how she's overcoming her demons, she's giving you some tips to overcome yourself. I really like this project, and she's been on an incredible role. One of those female MCs who just does not get enough credit today because, you know, she doesn't fall into some of the boxes, if you know what I'm saying, that we like to put some female MCs in. Don't worry about that. We're here for talent. Little Simz is bursting with it. Lotus is one of her better projects today. I told y'all you were going to see some surprises on this list, and here's the first one. Nick Grant, I Took It Personal. So this didn't make the previous list on soulandstereo.com because it's a relatively new release, but it's so good, had to make the top 20 here, and I love it. So Nick, I've always been a big fan of. He reminds me of J. Cole a lot in so many ways. I know he's North Carolina, and Nick Grant is South Carolina, so you got a little bit of parody there. But I like Nick Grant because he's not afraid to experiment, sometimes to his detriment. And it's kind of in that J. Cole realm where J. Cole started out so great in that mixtape era, and once he evolved and started trying to find himself, sometimes he tried some things that worked, some things really didn't work. Nick Grant's kind of the same way, and he will try some things that are good, and then he'll have like the singing projects. And I'm like, no, sir, you're not Andre 3000 on Love Below. Don't do that. But this is a more focused project. This is one that's more in his vein, and it's very strong. I really love the use of a lot of 90s R&B, where he was able to incorporate that, not just doing the lazy sampling where you just sing over a song. I don't like that. He's able to take those songs, manipulate them a little bit, make them his own so they're familiar but still sound fresh. And he's great. He has bars. He's very focused when he raps. And if you miss kind of that 90s, 2000s era hip-hop, he really will deliver that for you. Check out Nick Grant, I Took It Personal. It was definitely one I had to make sure I let y'all know. Up next is Black Milk, Fat Ray, Food from the Gods. So I'm a big Black Milk fan. In my opinion, one of the most underrated producers in hip-hop, maybe history. He has an incredible track record. I've been a big fan since the 2000s, and he never misses when it comes to that. And Fat Ray, he is an artist that I'm just becoming to become familiar with. I've known of him a bit, but this project really opened my eyes to how dope this dude are. They have so much chemistry together, and of course, when it comes to Black Milk, he's always gonna give you some food for the some chicken soup for the hip hop soul, if you feel what I'm saying. Fat Ray is just like bullying his way through these beats. Black Milk always has great production, but he is just massacring his way through these beats. He's hungry. He really sounds hungry. No pun intended. And he knows this is his time to shine. He is just really taking over and commanding these tracks. It's bars that I like. I like some bars. Give me bars and give me solid production. I'm a happy man. That's what you get on this project. Make sure you check that out. Food from the Gods. They eating good over there. Next is Salt and 10, and I don't talk about Salt very much on this channel because Salt is like the weirdest, most frustrating group to get into. And no, I'm not saying that they're devoid of talent. That certainly isn't it. I love their music. But why y'all make everything so confusing? Like half the time the albums are like, you got to do some code to get the tickets, and then they rarely post, and then the albums are showing up on some service, and then they're not showing up on the other streaming service. You got to get a code to get to them. Y'all, this is not, I feel like I'm like dealing with the Riddler to find the music. It ain't that deep. But this is a very straightforward release. You can just go on streaming, you got it, and yes, it is dope. So for those who don't know, the main vocalist for the Salt Collective is Cleo Sol, who many of you do know, and you already know how beautiful her voice is, and she's just able to just use that inflows, just vintage R&B production over her beautiful vocals. Oh my gosh. And of course, as with everything with Cleo Sol, like even when she's kind of musing on life and politics and the world at large, it can be kind of heavy, but she says it in such a beautiful tone, and it's like, oh, yeah, the world sucks, but it sounds so good when you say it. I love that she's able to captivate with just her performances. So she's spitting, she's giving that motherly wisdom as she always does, but it just sounds so great. Thank you, Salt, for giving me an album that I did not have to use the Da Vinci Code to find. Thank you. Next is McKinley Dixon, Magic Alive. So I've known of McKinley for a minute, but it wasn't until I was researching after like really falling in love with this project. I was like, this dude is like my brother from another mother. A fellow native of Virginia, was born on my birthday. Like, what's going on? What up, birthday twin? And I love that he is able to take so many risks. It's hard to describe this project. I mean, yeah, the production's dope. Yeah, the bars are dope. Yeah, I'm intrigued by the storytelling. But it's almost like, if I could compare it, it's almost like if you take the Odd Future era and then you throw in the mindset of kind of like modern day Lupe Fiasco with like the jazzy interpretations, and you kind of mush it together, you kind of get this project. It's hard to describe, but once you get into it, you are very much into it. I love the live instrumentation, the blending of genres, and he is just such an intelligent MC. He has a lot to say, and every bar, every song, everything is just so intriguing. You're hit on the next thing that comes on the line. So like when the next album song, when the next track comes up, you're not tossing it aside. You're not like, oh, let me skip to the next. Not really skips here, because you just want to hear how this story continues to unfold. I'm a big fan of Magic Alive. This is one of my surprises of 2025. I did not expect it to like it so much. And look, McKinley, you made me a fan, birthday twin. We good now. Check this one out. Up next is an album that probably surprises you as much as it surprises me. Wiz Khalifa, Kush, and Orange Juice 2. Well, old school soul and stereo fans will know I'm not the biggest Wiz Khalifa fan. I don't like the giggling. He's like the Beavis and Butthead of MCs. I was not a fan. I mean, I like Black and Yellow on a couple joints, but I was not a big fan. But what I did like was the Cushion OJ mixtape that kind of put him on. I thought that was cool before he kind of did more of the poppy stuff, and that stuff I didn't really like so much. This is a return to that. Now, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of sequel albums because in most cases, you're trying to recapture magic that you can't do. That artist is not that person anymore. We grow as people. And to try to recapture a sound, a feeling, a movement from a decade ago, this is impossible. You just can't do that. But he was able to do it somewhat well because he just went back to the type of production. Of course, he's rapping about the same thing. That man loves some weed, if you can't tell by the image. But he's able to recapture some of that energy without it just sounding like he's cosplaying a younger version of himself. He doesn't sound like the old man in the club. Thank you. But again, not only, he's a bit of an underrated MC. When he's focused, the bars are pretty okay, and he's focused here. And the production, which is always the biggest selling point for like Cushion OJ, the original, really shines through here. I had a lot of fun with this project, way more than I expected. So yeah, check it out. One of my biggest surprises of the year. Up next is Ann Nesby and Anniversary. I love that title. That title is just so wholesome. Anniversary. I see you, Ann. I love a good comeback story. And we all know Ann Nesby, the beautiful voice from Sounds of Blackness. Like, she just sounds like black excellence. She sounds like your mama at church. She sounds like your grandma's chicken on Sunday afternoon. She is a joy, and that's what this album is. It is just an awesome look at love in the R&B space. It's exactly what you would think. And she's just so powerful with her vocals. It's like she hasn't lost a step. She sounds as great as she does. She's as focused as she's ever been. And thankfully, she does not try to be the artist, and she's not trying to be a younger version of herself. She is being Ann all the way. I appreciate that so much. Be true to yourself, ma'am. Be true to yourself, artist. Don't try to be somebody else. Great release. Loved it so much. Another one that surprised me because, not that I question her talent, I didn't know I would love this project as much as I do. But it's one of my favorite R&B releases of the year. Gotta give that one a check out. Up next is Ledisi and The Crown. And this is another artist. Ledisi, we talked about Lil Sims. Like, there's some artists that if they show up in an album, best believe they're probably going to be on my top list of the year because they just never fall off. Ledisi is one of those. One of the few R&B stalwarts who pretty consistently drops albums regularly, and they never fail. And The Crown is yet another one of those ones. It's another look at black womanhood through a regal lens, as it should be. And she does it so well. And it's a very streamlined, tight release. If you're a Ledisi fan, you know what you're going to get, and it's going to be more of that. I love that there's this messaging that really tries to position black women specifically, that through their troubles, they can keep their heads up. They can wear their crown, ladies. I shall wear a crown when it's all over. Not even that it's over. You got your crown now. And that's the message of what this album is. Ledisi is so great at being the voice of her generation, the voice of her fellow women, and that shines here. Plus, the album cover is pretty cool too. Next on the list is Smith & Wesson Infinity. Another group of artists I did not expect to see back, but they're back. Tech and Steel are back. Stalwarts of the 90s released one of the greatest albums of all time in 1995. We don't talk about it enough. Their intro album is one of the best to ever do it. But this shows that all those years later, 30 years later, guess what? They still got some gas in the tank. If you were missing that gritty hip-hop, East Coast, boom bap, this is what they deliver. Once again, like we talked about with Ann, they did not try to reinvent the wheel. They didn't try to be something they weren't. They stuck with who they are. The only difference is that these brothers are now older, they're wiser, and they're approaching their craft with that mentality of a veterans who have seen more of the world. So it's not just some rambunctious young dudes like in the 90s. These are wise MCs who have some great things to say. But the skills haven't faded. The production is still good. If you missed that era, they're going to bring that feeling back for you. Next up is Alex Isley and Win. Man, love me some Alex. Once again, her birthright. You heard that last name, Alex Isley. Yes, from the Isley Brothers clan. She was literally born to do this. Her EP, first of all, as many of you know, like she's been quietly releasing some incredible music over the past 5 years specifically. This EP though might be my favorite because while I like those previous efforts, the thing I was starting to get a little worried about, I call it her syndrome. So what happens is when you have an established artist who are releasing a lot of material, everything starts kind of sounding the same. Not that it's bad, it just sounds the same. And I was worried that Alex was going to get in that category where it's just like, all right, Alex, we heard this one before, give us something new. She heard me coming and she gave us something new. This is the most diverse we've ever heard her. Man, she talking that talk on some of these songs. She's like, I'm the best out here in R&B and I'm going to tell you about it. I love it. I love Miss Goody Two Shoes where it's kind of flirty and a little bit more of her sexuality than sometimes we get. But she still keeps it classy, still keeps it sensual. This was very good. We're seeing different sides of an incredible artist, and that's how she moves forward. It's an EP, so it's very, very short. But in fact, despite its short length, it's still one of the stronger R&B efforts of the year. Easily one of the top 3 or 4 R&B records of the year. Be sure to check this one out. She's going places. Next up is Saba and No ID from the private collections of Saba and No ID. I mean, what else would you name it? I love Saba because he's one of these artists that is in one of those that I like to say is just like one hit away. And not in the Memphis Bleak type of way. But he's an artist that is very critically acclaimed. Everything he dropped is great. But I feel like he's just like that one, he has to get over that hump to get to mainstream acceptance. Because he, to me, has the capabilities of being someone that could be embraced at some higher level in the mainstream. Just hasn't happened yet. This project could do the things that I've been hoping for and get him over the hump. No ID, of course, one of the best producers of his era. Really one of the best producers of all time. Maybe I need to do a best producers of all time list. Because when you look at his resume, it is so extensive. And the artists that he has helped elevate to another level. And he's doing that right now for Saba. And Saba's a great storyteller, so he wastes no time in going nuts over some of these beats. Some of my favorite songs of 2025 are directly from this project. So if you're a fan of either one of them, make sure you check this one out. And if you're a fan of hip-hop in general, it should be on your list. I think that Saba's got something really special. Saba! Up next is John B and the very appropriately titled Waiting on You. This album, y'all, has been on R&B's minds forever. I think it's been like, how long we waiting this album? 10 years or so? It's been crazy. So back in 2019, I believe it was, is when he released this incredible single with Donnell Jones. It became the #1 single on our list. I do a list with my boys at YouKnowIGotSoul.com every year, ranking the best R&B songs of the year. It was #1 for that year, and we got no album. I'm like, well, what is going on with this album? So through delays, tinkering, John B has some stuff going on. We finally get this project, his follow-up from an album that was nearly a decade ago, but we finally got it, and you know what? It lived up to every bit of expectation. John sounds absolutely great on these songs, and some of the songs like Man in the Night, oh my gosh, one of the best songs of the year. He's got a duet with Alex Isley, of course, another banger. It just sounds like they're just floating around in the Milky Way in space. Great features, great performances. John B has not lost a step. So for whatever reason, this one flew completely under radars. When I shared it on Soul and Stereo, I got so many messages saying, John B is back? Why didn't I hear about this? Well, that's why you come to me, players, because I'm the one who's going to tell you about what you missed. Yes, John B is back. Yes, he still got it. Yes, this is the album we've been waiting on. Waiting on you. We've been waiting, and you delivered. Good for you, homie. Alright, next up is, yes, the second of the 2 new additions to the list, Che Noir, The Color Chocolate 2. Since 2020, I have been a huge fan of Che Noir. I just love her approach to hip hop. She is so no frills. She does not try to be anything but who she is. Kind of in that Lil Sims vein. She's not trying to be like the City Girls. She's not trying to be like Cardi. She's not even trying to be like Rhapsody. Some try to compare. I don't think that she is. She feels like an old soul in like this young body. And she just has so much wisdom. But the way that she raps is almost like you sitting at the feet of an OG. Even though I'm older than her, I'm sure. And she's just spitting this wisdom. And she's just talking about life. And unapologetically so. That's what makes her content so captivating. Plus, she has a great ear for beats. She always has these very haunting beats that pair so well to her real talk bars. I adore this album. Probably right now in my top 10 releases of the year. You can't go wrong with Che. Another winner from her. Don't miss this one. Relatively new, so that gives you plenty of time to get on it and rock this one. When we do our list of the albums for the end of the year, I guarantee you this one will be high on it. Up next is Eric Benet and the Co-Star. So last year, we got the appetizer to this project. We got an EP where it was him doing a bunch of duets with female R&B artists. This, my friends, is the full course meal. An album that has him paired up with pretty much every R&B artist you can think of. And the thing is that makes this album so great is where it's not, you would think that it's like, oh, it's just going to be a bunch of sleepy ballads. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. With every artist that he combines with, he finds something new. Some of them are up pace. Some of them are low tempo. Some of them are sexy bedroom burners. Some of them more talk about the state of our world. Got even a little bit of Latin flair in a few of them. Eric shows that he has so much diversity, and as we all know, he's one of the most underrated vocalists of his generation. No question. So if you get him with some sisters that can sing, man, he's not going to fail. A very fun, very strong project and a great follow-up to an EP that just whet our appetites for the heat that was to come. Next up is Dave East and Ransom, The Final Call. If you want bars, step on up, player. I got plenty of bars for you. I am a huge Ransom fan. I think he's an incredible artist. He's one of those artists that if you talk about him now, a lot of times we talk about artists who are good now. And you say, oh, if you put him in the 90s, nobody would care about him. And that's true for a lot of people. Not Ransom. I could see him right next to the Wu or Mobb Deep or whomever and not blinking an eye. He would just stay right on. He's so confident when he spits. And he has this easy flow that's just so confident. And he got Dave East. Now, I know some people are kind of iffy on Dave. And I guess I get that, but I think that when he's focused, he's good. And when you're next to someone like Ransom, oh, you're not going to be slipping. You're going to come hard. And I think they make a pretty good pair. I also like Dave East with Styles P. They had a project a few years ago that I thought was really good. He works best in a setting where he can like play off of a strong MC, and that works really well here. There's really nothing to say. If you like hip-hop, if you like bars, if you like spitters, this is a project for you. You throw it on and just be captivated. Plus, the production is pretty good too. Another winner. Next on the old list is JoJo and NGL. I guess I'm not gonna lie, because I ain't gonna lie about this. JoJo's evolution is funny. We talk about how, like, oh, she started out as just like this little bouncy teenager, and now she's this angsty adult. When you think about it, she kind of was always angsty. Like, if you listen to Leave and Get Out, this is a little kid, like, yelling at her boyfriend to get out her face. Like, she never played games. JoJo was never one for games. So, yes, here in 2025, she's older, she's wiser, but she still has that mentality of she's going to take care of herself first, but get y'all. And that's why I like this project. It's an EP, but essentially it feels like a full album. It's pretty well formed. And Porcelain, the lead single, not only does it have a fun original version, but it has like a slowed, stripped down remix. Both of them are so great. And that's just two of the winners from this project. A really strong project that looks deep into her emotional reflections, and most of her most recent music really reflect that. It's like coming to grips with grief or pain or heartbreak. That's kind of her vibe right now, and she does that very well. Another winner from JoJo who's been on quite the roll lately. Shout out to JoJo. She's been killing it lately. Can't hate on this one. This was a must. Alright, y'all, I only have two picks left, and these two picks are, again, this list is not ranked. I'm not ranking them yet. We'll save that for the end of the year. But these next two picks, I would say, are my #1 hip-hop release of the year so far, and my #1 R&B release of the year so far. But before we get to those, let's run up some honorable mentions. D Roth, let's show the folks some of the dope albums that we didn't get to on this video, but they definitely should check out. Run it up, homie. Alright, here we go. My pick for right now, the top R&B release of 2025, Duran, Bernard, and Bloom. I am so excited for Duran. Most of y'all know I've been a fan for a long time. I've been following this homie for a minute, and I am so glad that we are finally getting to the place where people are appreciating his artistry. And the reason why his artistry is so great is because he is who he says he is. He's goofy. He's a church kid. He is going to be ridiculous, but he's also going to be very real and humble in his music. And that's what makes this shine. He is so good and adept at taking different genres and different elements and throwing them together and mixing them up and making it his own blend. We always talk about artists and we're like, oh, why don't artists come from the church and why are they gospel trained and gospel? You can tell this brother got some Holy Ghost in him, because the way these vocals just jump out of his throat. They're so strong. The writing is so unique because it's so relatable. It's not the stilted stuff that sounds like Instagram captions or just Twitter rants that we usually get from a lot of modern music. This is someone who has gone through something and it's relatable, but he does it in such a humorous and lighthearted and comical way. Songs like No Business, like that's one of my favorite songs of the year. When you get even the song with T-Pain, yes, y'all know I don't like no T-Pain, but the song, How You Gonna Act Like That, like it's so much fun. He is just so much fun that he made me tolerate T-Pain in 2025. A miracle, I tell y'all, a miracle. Again, this is my pick for the best R&B project of the year. Will it hold out? Will it be surpassed by December? Maybe. But they got a tough road to beat if somebody's going to beat Duran on this one. And now my pick for the #1 hip-hop record of the year thus far, Blue and August Fannin, and it is called 40. You know what drove me nuts? Speaking of 40, what a coincidence. 40-40. When Jay-Z dropped 444, and everybody online was saying like this was the invention of grown man rap. Like, grown man rap did not exist until Jay-Z decided to do it. Where y'all been at? It's always been here. Y'all just weren't paying attention. And even though this comes after that era, this project shows that it's always been in us. Hip-hop has always grown. It's always matured. It will always mature. And as long as we grow, I don't know, positively. If we aren't acting like old people in the clubs, as long as we aren't betraying who we are, as long as we're focused on family and growth and seeing where we are and looking back and celebrating where we are and not worried about reliving the past, I think that hip hop will continue to grow strong. And that's what this album is about. Blue specifically uses this opportunity to reflect and be like, man, I'm an old head now, y'all. But he's an old head with experience, with wisdom, and still has a lot to bring to the game of hip-hop. And that's what this album is about. It's looking back at family, it's looking back at his responsibilities, but not giving away the love of his life, which is hip-hop. It's so stirring. The production is great, and most of the songs hit so hard. Now, I know it may hit hard because I, too, am an old head. But I think younger listeners can also gain from this because they can understand this is where things are going. And ain't nothing wrong with a little OG wisdom in your life. Get put on by some that listen. Blue and August absolutely knocked this out of the park. I'm a big Blue fan as it is, but I did not expect to love this project as much as I do. It may be a little bit of recency bias, but between this one and his beloved Below the Heavens project, this might be number 2. This might be one of the best projects Blue has ever done. And again, gonna be hard to knock this one off the top of the hip-hop realm when we look at the best albums of the year so far. Got some stiff competition coming because the clip's coming, but we'll see. We'll see if they can hold up. Can't wait to see that battle and who's the dopest. Alright, y'all, that's it. Those are the picks, the top 20 albums of the year so far. Now, my friends, it is your turn. Take your time, but before you yell at me, go to soulandstereo.com, check out that list of albums, make sure there's nothing that I didn't already shout out there that I didn't put here because I have love for both lists. There's just some additions and space, and plus I didn't want to be talking to y'all for like a whole hour about these albums. But if there are some additions, drop them in the comments below. Let me know what you're rocking with. We can see if you can put me onto some good stuff. I'm always down for that. And you can always revisit this post because we got some good stuff coming on the horizon. Yes, it's been kind of a slow year so far, but we've got some clips coming. We got some Nas coming. We got some Ghostface coming. I hope we got some R&B projects. I haven't heard anything, so I hope they step it up too. If not, Duran's gonna run away with album of the year for that one. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Let us know. And again, we're just here to put on for the good stuff. Let's put each other on. This edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions is a wrap. Yeah, it may be a 3-star year so far overall, but I think with these dope additions we talked about, we can at least get it at 3.5 stars. Yeah, we can do that for now. Maybe we can get up to 4. Save us, clips. Save us. And play on, players.